TAS 83 Alpenflage. That's the TAS 83 is the official designation for this Swiss camouflage pattern. That's very unique. So you might be wondering, where does it come from? Why is it red? Is it useful being red? Do you not stand out like a sore thumb? Well, buckle up, we'll talk about these things and a few more in the upcoming video. So Alpenflage, officially known as TAS 83, that's its military designation, is a Swiss camouflage pattern that looks a bit unusual. It has red in it, that's the standout feature. Everyone looks at it and thinks, why has it got this? Well, where does it come from? So to start off with, let's talk about where it comes from. So at the end of World War II, Germany was experimenting with a lot of different disruptive patterns, camouflage. They had P dot, they had oak leaf, they had loads of camouflages, and one that led to this development was Leibmuster. Now this uses red, and you can kind of see the similarity between Leibmuster and Alpenflage. So how did it get from Germany to a neutral country like Switzerland? Well, the actual camouflage and the tooling and everything for this was actually located in Czechoslovakia. So at the end of the war, when they got their independence back, all the tooling was kind of left there, and the Swiss had a look at it basically. I don't really know how it came to be. Maybe someone can let me know in the comments who knows a bit more about this, but the Swiss got their hands on it and said, we like this, it seems to work, and they basically developed it. So you can see the origins in the Leibmuster, but the Swiss developed it into their own actual pattern. They used the science behind it and the basis of Leibmuster, but they developed it into this unique TAS 83. Now the science behind using red is there's something to do with the wavelength of light, that at a distance it actually kind of turns into brown really well. You can see that in these clips. Obviously my trousers are grey, they kind of stand out a bit, they're just my walker trousers that I had to hand, but you can actually see my top half kind of starts just disappearing and blending into the background at a bit of a distance. So Alpenflage has kind of like a tan-y, kind of deserty base. Then they've got some kind of whites, but the whites are kind of almost, they have a tint of like blue to them. Like a really fine tint when you look up close. So it's kind of like that tan base, a few splodges of these whitey bluey highlights, then some greens, some blacks for the darker areas, so it allows it to blend in the darker environment, and then you've got the red as well. And the red's kind of like almost, in some areas, it's over the top of the other patterns. There's like a big sash of it coming through here. It's kind of interspersed and overlaid onto it. I think that's why it's so effective, due to that wavelength of red and the effect of how it turns to a brown. It actually kind of ties all the colours together and sort of mottles them down, and yeah, it actually is quite effective. Especially on this older jacket there that I've got that's kind of worn, the colours have actually faded a little bit, and you can see it's a bit more effective due to that. Everything's a bit muted and it just blends really well. So Alpenflage was adopted in the mid-50s, and it lasted all the way 40 odd years until the early 90s, when it was replaced with TAS 90, which is more of a traditional woodland sort of pattern. It does away with the reds, it's just got greens and whatnot and browns and, you know, your typical woodland colourway. Now the Swiss as well, being the Swiss and being really good at innovating and clever products, think Swiss Army knives, all that sort of stuff, they actually designed this with to be a load-bearing piece of equipment as well. Well, not so much of equipment, but to replace the load-bearing equipment. So normally armies of the time, and even up until pretty recently, had webbing or personal load carrying equipment, something of that kind, where they'd carry all their equipment, their magazines, their flask, all their personal equipment that they need on a day-to-day basis and out on a deployment. Now the Swiss thought, well, what if we can just integrate that into the jacket? And that's why this jacket has so many pockets. So let me show you a bit more about that now. So we have 2 pockets up top and 2 pockets on the bottom. We've got some side pockets, and there's also some pockets on the back here. So within these, the Swiss soldier would carry all of the personal provisions, equipment, magazines. I mean, I've got the essentials on me today, but but the top pockets are like the split as well. So they have an inner pouch and like an outer bit as well, so you can get magazines in there. And the bottom pockets are just really big, normal pockets, big deep ones. You can fit whatever in there. I've got my car keys, spare battery for the camera, all that sort of stuff. And the way they supported all this, inside there is an internal sort of like support structure to the jacket. So let me show you that. So hopefully that comes okay on camera, but there is these sort of support straps here. We've also got this big sort of bit that goes across your shoulders to spread the weight, and it's like a really thick, heavy, waxy, canvassy material, and that kind of spreads the load. And then inside we've got stitches and certain elements that just give you that sort of structure to it. So when you're wearing this, it's not quite, I wouldn't say it was quite as comfy as like a webbing, or even obviously especially a modern plate carrier or chest rig, But it does a good job at thinking back. It was designed in the 50s, and it was a pretty revolutionary concept at the time. And I think you'd be more than happy going into battle wearing this versus some of the early personal load carrying equipment systems floating around at the time. One other unique feature of the TAS 83 jacket is the integrated rucksack. So let me take this off, I'll show you it, and then I'll show you how it attaches directly to the jacket itself. So here is the rucksack itself, and as you can see, it attaches with these two kind of top straps, and then it just loops around with a belt. Now I've actually fit a two-man tent in here. It's a bit of a squeeze, but there is a tent in here, so you can get plenty in there. And there's also, so there's one big central deep pocket, and then on the sides there are two tall cylindrical pockets. Fit all kinds of stuff in there. I don't know exactly the makeup of what the typical day pack sort of specification would be, but you can fit a huge water bottle, you can fit tools in there, all sorts of things. Now the way you attach this is, there are actually these buckles that they've got a spring retainer on them, and they just clip into a corresponding sort of clasp system on the top of the jacket itself, and then you just throw it over. So the way you attach this is, let me just get my orientation right. So you have to have your shoulder lapels unbuttoned as they go under there, and I'm going to put my hood up just so that doesn't get stuck under. And then you just throw this over and just clip in. That clips in. This side's clipped in, a bit awkward doing it without a mirror, and then you can put your, rebutton that up, find the button again. Okay, so it's attached on the shoulder straps, and then we take this sort of belt, put it through the integrated belt loop, or hook or guide, whatever. And then just tighten it up here. Now look, I'm not saying that's the easiest thing in the world, but once it's on, you don't need to be doing that on and off. And also, I don't have as much practice as a Swiss soldier who will probably do that a million times. So I think that's actually quite a unique system, and it puts the weight over the shoulders really well. And with these sort of, is it lapels, is that the right word? With this sort of things over there, it actually keeps it in place very well. It doesn't want to slip off your shoulders. And this central belt, you don't need to have it real tight, just enough to kind of keep it close to your body. And it's pretty good actually. Now, the party piece of the TAS 83 jacket has got to be the sniper veil. Or that's what everyone refers to them as. I don't think it was just for snipers, but basically when you put the hood up, if you're lucky, when you get one, I got mine from Americana Pipe Dream a couple of years back, and I hear it's kind of 50-50 whether, not because of them, because of the soldiers who these belong to, if they still had this, but mine did, so I'm very happy, has this. Oh, help if I undo the button here. Has this veil, so now you can see that actually, if I tuck that in and do a bit of messing about with the hood and tighten this up here. I know it's not perfect, but look at that. So that just reduces that signature in my face, which is really good, because at a distance your face will just stand out. Now I haven't tucked it in properly 100% here, but short distance, if you can see skin, my hands actually stand out quite a lot. And obviously my grey trousers, but you can see that really reduces the signature of my face. So I think that's really cool. It's printed in the same pattern. It's got Alpenflage printed on it, and it's just mesh, and you can see through it pretty well actually. Definitely enough to be, definitely enough to see what's going on. I'm not saying you'd want to take aimed shots at 1,000 yards, but it's pretty good still. So let me tuck this away. This just rolls up. It's kind of like a little pouch for it. There's a little press button here, and then there's actually this on the hood, which you can kind of tuck it back out the way, so when it sits, look a bit goofy right now, but when it sits back, kind of holds it a bit. Kind of holds it a bit, gives it a bit of shape. But yeah, I think that's a super cool piece to the uniform. Talking about the actual jacket itself rather than the camouflage pattern, which by all means was a defensive pattern. It works well in the Swiss Alps. They do have these red tones even though it fades to brown, they do have quite red sort of flowers and foliage and whatnot throughout the year, at certain times of the year. And with Swiss's stance of neutrality, it was perfect for like a defensive camouflage. It doesn't have to work in loads of different environments. It was very tailored to the Swiss biome. But talking about the actual jacket, what do I think of it? Well, again, this is just my opinion. I don't wear it day in, day out, or didn't. Nobody does anymore, unless you really like Alpenflage. But I think it's a pretty good solution. If I went on a walk, I could see myself wearing this. I don't think I'd put anything in the jacket. It does tend to pull up unless you balance it out with loads of stuff on the front. Not a lot, and it might be a skill issue on my part, but I'd rather just wear a traditional backpack if I was going on an actual walk or a hike. But the actual jacket itself, it's not too heavy. You do definitely feel the weight of it, but it's not too heavy, and it's fairly comfortable. You've got pockets for obviously loads of stuff. You know, at the minute I've just got my keys, my script, and a battery on me, but you could definitely fit a lot more in here, and they're pretty easily accessible. Things I dislike about the jacket is you can actually kind of feel that internal structure, more so with the backpack attached to it, but it does kind of just feel a bit awkward. It's not just, you do notice that it's on you, but that might just be a me thing. Again, might be a skill issue. I can definitely feel this on me, and it's a bit kind of cumbersome and a bit bulky. I do find as well, this obviously the rest of it fits me really well, but the sleeves are quite short, really. If I go like that, they are definitely coming up a bit. So don't really know what's going on there, but I do also have some zippers on the sleeves, so you can adjust or roll up your sleeves. And there is an elasticated cuff inside with a press button, so I can kind of at least have a better chance of staying down there. So pretty interesting jacket with lots of features. Would I wear it daily now or on a long hike? Probably not. Do I like bringing it out? Is it a cool piece? Absolutely. Like, it's just very unique. It's a conversation starter. All the pocket. Whoa, what's that? Why is it red? Like, what's going? You know. So it's a pretty interesting piece, and definitely a piece that I'm proud to have in my collection. Especially with the sniper veil. Really cool. So now that I've spoken to you about Alpenflage, kind of a bit of the history of the pattern as well, and showed you the jacket, I do actually have a Alpenflage shirt. So let me know down in the comments if you guys want just a quick overview of just the shirt itself, the features and benefits and pros and cons of that, and just a quick look at it. I won't go into the history on that, obviously I've kind of just covered that already. But let me know if you guys want one of the actual shirt, because yeah, cool pattern. Shirt's pretty cool as well, so let me know. Well, that was the end of this video. Hopefully it was informative, giving you a look at the actual pattern and the jacket itself. I've got absolutely loads of surplus, so much that my wife's shouting at me constantly, so I'm hoping to start putting a lot of these videos out for you and just kind of going over a little bit of the history. I'm not going to go too in depth into the history. There's channels that are far better at that than me and far more well researched, but just a little bit of a background, bit of an overview, and of the actual garment itself. So if you want to see that, don't forget to subscribe, like. I'm pretty new to the surplus channel game, so yeah, thank you guys for watching.